Hi, Bill Ross. Sorry I kept you waiting. It's the union again. I swear if it's not labor problems, it's state budget cuts or Medicare revisions. I've got 12 beds filled with AIDS patients with no insurance. I could use about 30 more nurses, and I have cops checking ER patients for guns. Running a hospital sure isn't what it used to be. Well, enough of my problems. What can I do for you? Hey, I support your program, but I have to tell you something. Getting tissues for you folks isn't very high on my list of priorities. I'm already working with the Organ Procurement Agency and the Eye Bank. Do we have to have a separate arrangement with your organization? Who'll be responsible for setting up protocols and educating my staff? With DRGs and budget cuts, I'm already running at a deficit. Will you pick up all the costs associated with procuring the tissues? How does the required request law work with respect to tissues? What happens if we don't approach a family? Are there any real penalties from the state or the feds? This business of asking every family bothers me a bit. Is there any chance of this turning into bad press for the hospital? I don't need to tell you what problems we have with malpractice. Our insurance premiums have gone right through the ceiling. What if something goes wrong here in the hospital? Or what if someone gets a bone or other tissue from us and it turns out to have AIDS or some other disease? What kind of protection do we have? Let's say we have a donor. What happens? What do we have to do, and what will you do? Do we need to provide anything special for your recovery teams? What about once the tissues leave here? How do you decide where they go? Who will get them? Would they be used here in our hospital? Well, this has been very interesting. Thanks for coming by. I'll be meeting with my staff later today, and I'll get back to you soon.
Here we are in the middle of the country's greatest nursing shortage, and every day more demands are placed on the nurses' shoulders. One day it's HIV, then it's being on the alert for possible child abuse, and now it's tissue procurement. Now, I'm not saying I don't approve of your program, but quite honestly, my plate is pretty full. Besides, I thought that doctors make such requests of the donor family, not the nurses. Let's take this required request business, for example. Does that mean that every time a patient dies in the hospital, we must ask for tissues? we supposed to know who is a suitable tissue donor and who's not? Who's responsible for asking the family? What are your criteria for the selection of tissue donors? What if the family says no? What if the case comes under the jurisdiction of the medical examiner? What happens then? I assume you've met with the hospital administrator. Now, what kind of arrangements have you made with him regarding procuring tissues here in the hospital? What about the paperwork? What kind of records do we have to keep? Do we have to file anything with the state health department? Will there be some kind of audit to see if we're in compliance? I'm concerned about patient confidentiality. How do you maintain confidentiality when someone who dies in our hospital becomes a donor? What about organ donation? How does your program interface with the organ donor programs? What arrangements must we make to provide hospital privileges for your recovery staff? Well, I still think that tissue donation is a great burden on the family of the donor. However, at least I now have a better understanding of what has to be done. Thanks for stopping by.
Hi, I'm Len Becker. Welcome to the Battle Zone. What can I do for you today? I don't know why you come to me. As I see it, the emergency room is the last place to look for tissue donors. First of all, almost by definition, the deaths that occur here are sudden and unexpected. Look, someone gets into an accident. They get taken here. And let's say they die here in the ER. It's not like the ICU, where the family may have had several days to grasp what's happened. The family just isn't ready to deal with a death and tissue donation. It's just too darn soon. On average, I have about 120 seconds, 2 whole minutes to talk to that family. Then it's on to the next patient. How do you think I'm going to bring up tissue donation in that time? A lot of our deaths fall under ME jurisdiction. What kind of arrangement do you have with his office? I've been hearing about this required request regulation. Does it apply to every death? And what do we do when there's no family? That's not at all uncommon in ER deaths. Would you go ahead if there's only a signed donor card with the driver's license? What are the indications for a tissue donor? You know, age, cause of death, etc. And what are the relative and absolute contraindications? Do you screen for AIDS before or after the family is approached? I'm already short-staffed. I can't see how I can ask my people to look for donors, call you folks, and then talk to the families. It's just too much work. Even if you pick up some of the work, it's still going to require a great deal from my staff. Who's going to train them? Well, I'd like to help you out. I believe in your program. I really do. I'll think it over. Stop in again next time you're here. We'll talk some more.
I understand we're finally getting serious about procuring tissues. Was it the required request law or pressure from you folks? What tissues are you looking for? What are some of the indications for bone grafts? How are you using the veins? Who handles the processing and distribution of the tissues you would procure from our hospital? Are the tissues used locally, or do you ship them around the country? How are you tied into the organ procurement program? And what about the eye bank? Is there an age limit for tissue donors? What's the story with infections? Is any type of infection a contraindication? Does malignancy rule out donation? Which infectious diseases do we have to screen for? At what point do you want us to call you? As I see it, finding potential donors shouldn't be too difficult. The problem is getting permission from the families. With the required request law, does our staff have to approach the families, or will you do it? If our staff is going to do any requesting, who'll train them? I have chronic staff shortages. I need to set up a program that does not require an inordinate amount of time or energy from my nurses. If it's an ME case, what's the protocol? Will you let us know about the outcomes of donors from our unit? That would certainly help maintain interest. Well, I look forward to working with you. I'm sure you'll find my entire staff quite helpful. Goodbye.